Menendez brothers Reddit discussions.
Giving too much credit to Erik. I've seen those posts about Tammy. I'm not defending her. She's a grown woman who can defend herself. But to be honest, I hate that most people here are discarding Erik so much that you never consider that maybe he's the one feeding her all those bad things about Lyle. For example, her comment. I'm not sure where this is from or if it's even real. I just read someone's comment about it. When someone asked her about the crime, and she said she knows for sure Erik wouldn't do it alone, which I'm sure Lyle wouldn't either. But you know what that reminds me of? When Erik went to his friends telling them he would kill the people who killed his parents, even if it was Lyle. Also, when he agreed in the second trial to split and play the fear card to get himself out, basically throwing Lyle under the bus. For some reason, Erik always has something to say about Lyle every time he talks about him. Like, yeah, it's good we had a reunion, but we have difficulties. Or, yeah, it's good to hear Lyle's voice, but I told him not to do the interview, and he never listens. Mind you, that was Lyle's first appearance in 15 years, while Erik had all that time to jump from one show to another. And Lyle never criticized him the way Erik did.
I don't know if Erik agreed in the second trial to throw Lyle under the bus. It was a defense strategy by Leslie before the first and second trials. It would have given Erik a better shot. Do I agree with it? No. Does it make sense why she did it? Yes. They ended up getting two juries in the first trial to combat any conflict of interest in that regard, but by the second it was one jury, one trial. I don't think it's something Erik agreed to be honest, and I don't think it's a reflection of Leslie's thoughts of Lyle. If she hated him and thought Erik was afraid of Lyle, why did she publicly say, "This is all nonsense, there's no good brother or bad brother"? They're both adorable. She also got her friend to marry Lyle and Anna and could be seen comforting Lyle many times in the trial. It really was just all strategy. Leslie was a shrewd defense attorney and knew it would be better if she could get Erik a trial alone. Sorry to go off on a tangent about that point, but it's been continuously dragged up that Erik was afraid of Lyle, and I, for one, after studying this case for years, will never believe that he was. People are always trying to diminish Erik's responsibility in the killings, and I believe they are both responsible and fed off each other's mania and fear. To your other points, yeah, Erik has said many odd things over the years, but in my opinion most of them were to either defend or appease Tammy.
Erik does not always has something to say about Lyle every time, that is reaching. To Erik, Lyle has been the only person who has ever protected and loved him. Erik is very protective of Lyle. Erik cannot say enough good things about Lyle.
Whenever they've had the choice, they've always chosen each other, even over their wives.
I've gotten a vibe that Erik has had somewhat more ambivalent feelings about Lyle than vice versa. But what bothers me is the overfamiliarity, or I guess what you would call parasociality, of people thinking they understand the case, the brothers' personalities, and their dynamics so well that they can not only tease out their true feelings based on a few incidents and comments, but they can also judge whether those feelings are right or wrong.
Well, I think the idea of Erik intentionally throwing his brother under the bus is incorrect. In my opinion, Erik has only ever been honest and realistic about his relationship with his brother. After all, they are brothers, and siblings in general will always have disagreements. I don't think when Erik is saying things like "we have had difficulties" or "I told him not to do the interview" that he is attacking him or putting him down. It seems to be just an acknowledgement that they have different opinions on things, as all people do. Also, I think he is simply speaking from the place of a younger brother. I can relate to an extent because I'm a younger sibling also. Lyle has been known to take charge in a lot of things, and Erik was known as the weaker, easily led one in the media, and perhaps Erik is just trying to prove that he does have his own thoughts and feelings. What Erik told friends after the killings only represents to me the ramblings of a deeply confused and traumatized person. After all, Erik became even more suicidal after his parents' death. He was ready to kill himself. So when he said he would kill the people who killed his parents, he was including himself in that. He was horrified that he and his brother had got to this point where they ended up killing their parents. And I can understand why. I do agree, if this is what you're also implying, that Erik has been infantilized by the media and especially a lot of supporters when it comes to many things, like when it comes to who he has chose as a wife. I mean, Erik has remained married to Tammy for all these years, so he obviously believes she is dedicated to him and his cause and only wants what is best for him. I really do not feel there is any throwing of anyone under the bus, but if there is, it is not intentional at all.
I don't doubt that Erik and Lyle love each other, but some of Erik's statements bother me. When he does say something positive, it is followed up by something negative. It's really strange. No, there is no reason to live in a fairy tale, Erik, but maybe keep those negative things to yourself and don't speak about it publicly? Most of what I have heard from Lyle, he speaks so well of Erik, even when he has a reason to be slightly annoyed or angry with him. I dunno.
Like when he told Norma how he was pissed he didn't throw the letter and was still laughing.
Exactly. That really showed Lyle's character. He even said to Norma, "Imagine my state of mind when I heard they have this letter." But he still laughed about it, loudly crying face like, come on. I feel like Erik is so used to getting a free pass by Lyle.
The fact that Erik still emphasizes how precious that letter was to him in the Netflix doc, and how he didn't destroy it because Lyle rarely expresses his vulnerability. Erik, I understand that you and your brother weren't taught by your parents to properly communicate with each other, but this is not the good time to be sentimental. With that letter speeding things up in the case and Lyle having to face that he has to reveal the abuse, I am surprised that Lyle can still laugh about it, especially when he and his brother are facing the death penalty. My God, you sucker, isn't the reaction I'd have if I was in Lyle's shoes.
Lyle definitely does not allow anyone to slander his little brother. And normal people get that you shouldn't talk shit or shade your husband's brother without having to be told that. People who do that are so low class and trashy. I wonder if Erik knows the full extent of what Tammy is doing. Most of her stuff is just shady, but subtle, and you need to read between the lines. She isn't openly attacking Lyle.
I don't care what the brothers do or say to each other privately. Lyle never talks negative about Erik or his situation with Erik publicly except that one time. Whereas Erik will throw or talk harshly about Lyle to make Tammy happy. I mean, what kind of brother is he that he couldn't drill the fact that into his wife's head that don't talk bad about my brother, I will not allow, and accept it, because with Anna and Rebecca it feels like Lyle gave them the big brother talk.
Talia directly attacked Lyle after that Millie incident. I had an argument with her for trashing Lyle. I replied to her kindly, yet she was being sassy and aggressive to me. I blocked her ass.
Yeah, that does not surprise me at all. She and her mother seem shady.
Talia literally jumped on Instagram the moment Millie's scandal broke and said something along the lines of Erik and Lyle are separate people and one brother should not be judged for actions of other and stuff like that. Is that direct enough for you? She should have kept her mouth shut. No one was even attacking Erik over that scandal. Why was she inserting herself? And yes, she did throw her uncle under the bus with that. It was none of her business. If Erik himself kept his mouth shut, Talia had no right to speak on that.
Regarding the stuff Erik has said post-conviction, difficulties after the reunion, Tammy Talia being his first priority, not wanting Lyle to do the interview, etc., I think that's just him being honest, lol. He's been open about meditation and spirituality, playing a huge role in his life now. Being honest with yourself and others is a key component to both of those. The idea that he should only say positive stuff about Lyle, their relationship, when it isn't always positive, is unrealistic, Imo. They're brothers. I'm sure they argue and disagree on stuff all the time. Erik just seems more willing to state that fact than Lyle is. As he has said, there's no need to live in a fairy tale.
He knows that Lyle is a very private person and doesn't want anything negative about the family out there. Why can't he accept that? Why did he have to let people know that the reunion wasn't perfect? What did it matter to him? If I know a positive portrayal is important to my brother, then I'd just go along with it. No need to make the public aware of issues between Brithitts. That's private.
I think Erik has every right to not want to live in a fairy tale and pretend like everything is perfect all the time. Just like Lyle has every right to only want to discuss or focus on the positive stuff. Neither is wrong.
It's not wrong, but unnecessary and rude. Talk to Lyle or your wife about family drama and keep it out of the public. Not mentioning that the reunion wasn't a fairy tale would not have been him living a pretend life. F's.
There's a balance, I guess. Lyle focuses on the positive and his love for his brother, crying and everything, while Erik focuses on the negative, while his wife blasts Rand to boot. It evens out if you think about it.
I've always felt that Lyle loves Erik more than the other way around. Just a gut feeling. Maybe it's because Lyle contributed to his very early childhood trauma. I don't know, but that's just how I feel. I think Erik resents that he was the younger brother and still subconsciously feels like he has to compete with Lyle. I never got that feeling from Lyle. I genuinely believe that if only Erik gets out, Lyle would be happy for him, but if only Lyle gets out, Erik would be pissed.
Agreed. You see the way he was working on his appeal on 2005, rolling on the floor laughing. He got a chance to talk about Lyle and was like, well, I love my brother cause he took my beatings for me, but my wife and daughter are my priority now. He wanted that perfect family so bad. No shade to Erik, but he's a human being and no angel.
Yeah, those once-a-month visits equals perfect family. More important than the person who got beat up for you, killed for you, and is now serving a life sentence for you. Ugh, that interview really annoyed me.
In the book, to prove their love with those 15-minute calls per day, continually writing to an interviewer who didn't believe you and your brother and obviously didn't like your brother till she responded, plus doing a tribute to her after she died. 3 Uncle Erik.
Someone here said that Erik had a thing for women who hate Lyle, and it's true. Kitty, Leslie, the T's, and Barbara.
It starts from his mom, and I can only speculate, but it seems he has some mommy issues and unresolved trauma. I would also think he resents that Lyle was the golden child, although it really wasn't true. But it's hard to rewrite a story you've been telling yourself to survive. Maybe when they were separated, the anger of it all came out and he had nowhere to send it but to his brother because he's the only living person from the core unit. Woman shrugging, medium dark skin tone. Who knows? People who hadn't had serious trauma are far from rational at times. It's probably increased with both brothers, actually.
Casey said he told him he was going to pin everything on Lyle to save. Erik makes me wonder what he told them. 'Cause Donovan did say Lyle told him if he's not around one day, he should take care of Erik. Anna said same about Erik being Lyle's priority. Like, look at Rebecca, she accepted the fact that Lyle wanted to move away from her to be closer with Erik, only for him to say whatever he said in that audio. I'm even embarrassed.
I've wondered if Lyle moving away broke their marriage. They went from constantly seeing each other to barely seeing each other. Lyle picked Erik over Rebecca. Rebecca said that they have been separated and just friends for a while now.
That's also what I'm wondering too. And for Tammy to have reacted as she did?
This is something that has always played on my mind, and it's probably true. I've always had this feeling if the roles were reversed and Erik had the chance to move into Lyle's prison so they could be reunited, would he have done it? Especially knowing he had to move far away from Tammy and Talia, just like Lyle had to basically leave Rebecca. Would Erik have seriously changed prisons? And I can surely and disappointingly say he wouldn't. The reunion wouldn't have happened if Lyle didn't fight to be reunited with Erik for a decade. Also, Lyle always made it known it was him doing the fighty.
It could be from that, but I seriously want Lyle to wake up from his delusions and prioritize himself. Like he said, on his own words, this is what he gets for helping Erik. Even the ongoing resentencing is kind of favorable, more to Erik to tell. I have learned a lot about life, is this case and relationship dynamics.
Honestly, Erik is a coward, and I think he is easily manipulated. I think that's just a result from his childhood. Lyle would never have done this.
I just stalled until I got there too late.
At that point, you didn't really care what was happening to your brother?
I definitely cared what was happening to my brother, but I didn't want to be back there.
You feared for your own safety over the safety of your brother?
I know I wouldn't put it that way.
He asked you, or he told you to be back a certain time between 7 and 8, and you came back late.
Yes.
So are you saying that you just didn't want, you knew what the time was, but you didn't want to go back?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
So you're saying that you really didn't care what happened to your brother?
No, I cared what happened to my brother, and I should have gone back at 8, but I didn't. I didn't want to go back to the house, and I just didn't want to be there.
You can see Lyle's face too. You can see the emotion on his face. For someone so stoic, his face reveals so much.
Finally, someone to call out Erik on his BS. He is always so babied. Actions speak louder than words, Erik. You can talk sweet talk about Lyle, but you left him alone in that house, waiting for you.
Always trying to balance his loyalty among his brother and other people, like look at this, you didn't care? Does he think Lyle is a tree or what?